What's up, brownies? We need to have a conversation about personal responsibility and selective outrage. And I will be using Love and Marriage Huntsville for this topic. Here's why. It is because that by the time January 20th gets here, y'all are going to figure out how bad of a situation that we are in and how much of in danger we are in this country and how we don't have any outside support, if you haven't caught on to that already. And so we need to start working together now and to stop all of the pettiness. The catalyst for this video was the fact that Stormi announced on her social media that she has quit the show, and Carlos has now taken to his own personal platform to bash the fans, tell them that they're unhinged, that they need to stop attacking his castmates, and how he does not condone destroying people's businesses and their reputation. If you watch this to the very end, I am going to prove that that is a lie and that Carlos and his production team is somewhat responsible for what they don't cut out the show and what they allow to be added in. I find it weird that it is only Melody's fans that are being blamed for everything when Melody has a lot of haters too, and she has people attacking her online and wishing harm. In fact, this one little tweet that I captured was one of the more mild ones that I knew that I could put in here just as an example, and they wouldn't flag my video for it. But it gets much worse than this. So Carlos stacked the deck in this little interview that he did by having Destiny and Latrice Rogers from his other show, Bell Collective, on here to discuss this topic. Destiny and Stormi are not even really friends. See, the thing about those two is they've almost come to blows on multiple occasions. So what's really going on there is the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Basically, the same type of situation that you all have accused Mel of having, and also the fact that people have fake friendships like you all accuse Mel of, but not the rest of the cast. Let me be clear about this. There is not one cast member that has clean hands. There's nothing that Melody does that the rest of them don't do, and vice versa. He thought that for sure Latrice, who is Stormi's real friend, and they were friends before the fame and the money and the TV shows, that Latrice was going to agree with them that Melody should have admonished her fans publicly and stated where she stands. And Latrice surprised them by saying no, and I would not have done it either. Whereas I hate the fact that Stormi went to jail and that should not have happened to her. The thing is, you can't control what people do and say, and that everybody's fans attack the other castmates. And she also mentioned the fact that the actual cast members are the ones that encourage this stuff because they lie about each other on national television. You'll attack people knowing that what you're saying is not the truth, and then you do it anyway. And you don't take responsibility for that as the one that's on TV. So how do you expect to control people who are just watching you on TV? When Stormi was talking about if you don't agree with something, you should be able to say that. The problem with the situation was how they were trying to gang up on Mel and bullying her into saying it on cue, on command. Like they were trying to basically beat her into submission and gang up on her. So it's the way that it was presented. There is nothing about me before or after therapy and maturity and adulthood or whatever that would make me have done that in that time, in that setting, in that way. However, this is the way that I would have done it. I would have simply stated, for anybody that is online attacking my castmates and wishing harm on them, know that you're doing that because you want to. I never ask you to do that, and I never would, because I don't condone that. I believe in protecting Black women, supporting Black women and their businesses. So likewise, if you all are trying to tear down somebody's business or get it shut down, then also you're doing that because you want to. I don't do that to people, and so I would never tell somebody else to do it. But you can speak out to your own character. However, you cannot control what other people decide to do. I will make a follow-up video if need be, if you all can provide me with the receipts. Now, my handle is the exact same on all social media. So if for whatever platform you're watching this on, you can't inbox me on that platform, you can inbox me on other platforms. If she's actually culpable for this, then does anyone have the receipts on Melody telling fans to attack her castmates on her behalf, or to attack their businesses on her behalf, or saying that they did it just because they're fans of Melody and nothing else? Stormi was adamant about the whole state where you stand, and all of the women jumped on the bandwagon and they agreed with that. I find that funny because it doesn't seem to me like you all as castmates were able to state where you stand on DV and on Revenge P. Martell had over a year to come out and say that it's false, or that he apologizes, or he's not going to do that, or he doesn't have any plans to do it. And because he did not do that, Melody had time to take legal action to prevent him from doing it. So that means that if there are no legal repercussions and ramifications for your actions, then you don't plan on acting any better. And then also, not admitting the fact that Martell's violent outbursts and harassing Mel extended far beyond this one incident. You all knew about this, and nobody wanted to state where they stand on the show about Martell. Most of you got on national television and said that it was overkill, and you don't believe that he should have gone to jail for that. And then try to walk it back with the whole, oh, well, see, I didn't hear about that part and I didn't know about that. Even for the ones who were willing to say that, did you clearly state where you stand and say it with chest? Martell should have gone to jail for that. And also, the reason he went to jail was not because of Melody, but because he did something that was against the law. Did you state where you stand? See, the problem is you all know that this is a pattern of behavior for Martell. How do we know that? Once again, documentation, actual receipts that we can prove. Marceau and Tisha, it was the Scotts that were the first people to put out a restraining order on Martell. And Marceau said that he felt threatened for his life. Now, look at how much bigger Marceau is than Martell. And you saying that as a big man and at your big age, you felt threatened enough by Martell to take legal action, but it wasn't okay for Melody to do it? Is that what you all are saying? What about this whole notion of threatening communication and harassing communication? Same thing goes for Stormi. That clout chasing content creator started all of this. Stormi didn't just let Courtney open the door and say, listen, y'all on private property, y'all need to leave. This is ridiculous, whatever. Your husband had already handled it, and you didn't let that stand. That wasn't good enough for you. Then you started yelling and threatening, and then you said, I heard on the clip that I saw you say, I ought to beat your MFing A. That was the threat. And that is what you got arrested for. In both of these situations, these people who spent 2.5 seconds in a holding cell somewhere and acting like they went to Pelican Bay shoot program, 23-hour lockdown. This is an attempt to deflect taking personal responsibility for them escalating a situation above and beyond what it had to be. While we're talking about Revenge P and with Martell, let's not forget that the Scotts didn't seem to mind Revenge P when their brother was threatening to do it to Melody's mother. See, you all must apparently think that it's okay as long as it's happening to one of the Rogers women, because you all thought it was very funny when you were talking about it on the reunion. Somebody's mama got a tape out there. That's what I heard. I haven't seen it, but I heard that. I heard it exists. But that's actually a perfect segue to talk about I can't control what grown folks do and say, and false equivalence versus these direct comparisons that I'm getting ready to give you. Remember, Miss Van is a Southern woman of a certain age. In no way would they get on national television and talk about their private life and in their sex life. You know what it means when an auntie says, that's my little friend. Charles, that's my little friend. Everybody black knows what that means. And somehow Mark took it personally. He thought an appropriate response to defend himself with that would be to threaten to put out a sex tape of them on the internet. And the only reason, let's call a thing, that Tisha and Kimmy told them that they need to talk to their brother about some of the things that he had been saying. It was because of also the things that he had said about his brothers and their marriages not being squeaky clean and all of that other stuff, and about how some of the rumors are true. That's why they wanted Mark to shut up, not because of the revenge P thing on Miss Van. The Scott brothers did agree to talk to their brother Mark. They brought him on the show and they told Mark that he needed to stop. And what did Mark say? And I'm paraphrasing here, but basically I'm going to do what I want to do and say what I want to say. See, this is a family trait. Just like you all are confused about how Kiki first came on the show. First and foremost, it is important to note that everybody, Melody, Tisha, and Kiki all agreed that Kiki and Melody were friends before Melody even knew the Scotts. Tisha invited her on there to do an event with her about Black girls being proud of their brown skin and being proud of their Afro-textured hair. Put a pin in that because we're going to circle back around to it. That's how Kiki first came on the show. The second time she was on the show was actually Tisha using her to attack Kimmy for not, air quotations, having Tisha's back at the reunion about the whole Melody is the post queen thing. Because you made Tisha look like a liar and you were disloyal and you didn't have her back. It looked like you were taking Melody's side. Tisha actually called Mel the post queen in front of her face and on the show. It aired on the show. Tisha said it on camera, so it wasn't a secret. Remember, Kimmy's critique of Tisha was you ask for a type of loyalty that you don't give, because you sat and you talked about me with Kiowa and you said that you do sympathize with her and you understand why she's mad, and you let Kiowa come in your house and sit and drag me. Y'all also let Kiowa drag me at the event that you all had for your mother and sit up and talk bad about me in your face, and you don't defend me. And see, this is what I'm talking about. And the whole thing is, well, she's telling her truth about her marriage. I can't control what she says. She's telling her truth and she was hurt and blah, blah, blah. You see how they want to pick and choose when it's okay to try to control what people say? But y'all can't control your own family. Also, about people dragging other folks' reputation and whatever, Kiowa was the one who started the whole Kimmy was a side chick and Kimmy broke up my marriage. And y'all let that carry out for 3 or 4 or 5 seasons before Kimmy finally put a stop to it and had to basically cry in the pool on vacation and say, it's not funny and it's not true. And y'all are attacking my character. Which then Kimmy had to bring one of their other brothers' ex-wives on that is still her friend to come on and back her story up about how the divorce played out and how Kiowa was trying to dodge the divorce papers and drag it out. Do y'all remember all of this? Tisha brought her mother on the show to be her mouthpiece several times, just like Stormi did with her mama and Melody did with her mama. Martell did with her mama. Wanda was first brought onto the show so that Tisha could use her mama to ask about, to harass Marceau about infidelity rumors, for you to disrespect and attack your own husband in his own house and in his face. She attacked Kimmy. She got into it with Destiny, had a back and forth with her. She attacked Melody and everybody else, but it was also their kids that were attacked. She got on her platform and said about how Macy and Mila have long hair and they have nice hair or wavy hair or whatever. And long story short, and I'm paraphrasing here, but you call the Holt kids nappy-headed and jealous of your grandbabies. Tisha putting on that event about brown girls and being proud of your skin and your hair actually came from her trying to go all around Robin Hood's barn and put on a positive event to celebrate all hair textures, instead of just out of her mouth saying my mama was wrong, she was just wrong, and we don't condone that, and I want to apologize to you all, and I want to apologize to your girls. It was uncalled for, and we just simply do not stand for that, and say it with chest. Martell, once again, if you can talk about all the things that people get wrong, you can talk about the times where they got it right. And this was one time where he actually got it right. When they went to the birthday party thing, Martell went up to MJ and said, hey, listen, I was just mad at your dad. And I heard that you got upset about the 20 girlfriends thing. I was just mad at him. I was just saying something that wasn't true. Don't believe it. It wasn't true about your dad. And I'm sorry, okay? I wanted to come and apologize to you. The Scotts were mad that that was filmed. And they were saying that you shouldn't have somebody grown talking to my son without my permission. And then you all were out of line for filming it and all of that. And it's mighty funny that when somebody did something that affected your children, they were able to apologize right away. This situation had to come up twice after you all had agreed no more talking about the children and the children are off limits. Miss Wanda ran her mouth about the kids again. Well, who was Sugar Mama's real daddy? And Tisha and them still sat there and tried to do the whole it was wrong on both sides thing to lightweight defend her mama and try to walk it back, but then kind of say, yeah, it was still wrong. But when you put a but on something, you negate everything that you said before that but. Now let's talk about some of the actual equivalents and false equivalents that you all have tried to make on the show about showing up to events or places uninvited and then attacks on people's businesses, right? What happened with the content creator clout chasing and coming to Canvas Beauty? That was the content creator being wrong. There was no justifiable reason to be at that warehouse. You were trying to be messy and you got more than what you bargained for. Next example, when Melody had her Embrace Beauty event that was private and by invitation only, and Tisha showed up without an invitation, Melody had her escorted out. But Destiny tried to use that as a equivalent example for when she had the grand reopening of Madani, and even though she didn't particularly invite Melody and Stormi, they both showed up and there was a ruckus later on or whatever. Let me tell you why that's not a fair comparison. Melody's event was a private event with a dress code and it was by invitation. Destiny's event was something that she made a flyer for and put it on the internet for her brick and mortar public business for anybody in the public to attend. And that would include these Melometers that you all are so selectively afraid of, right? If that's open to the general public and anybody off the street can walk in, then surely you would expect for your cast members to come to that too, especially when you all are filming there. Plus, if they didn't come and support, you would have been mad about that. So either way, you can't win, you can't break even, and you can't get out of the game. Ease on down the road with that foolishness, Destiny. Don't nobody want to hear it. It is not the same. And by the way, let's remind everybody that it was Wanda who also played a role of a catalyst in the violence that occurred in the parking lot that day, just like when she came to Jalen's graduation party that Kimmy did not invite her to, and Tisha brought her anyway, and all of that drama happened in that parking lot. This is a pattern of behavior. Yet once again, instead of making Wanda take full responsibility, Marceau and Tisha tried to blame Kimmy by saying you didn't make Wanda feel welcome in the way that you greeted her. But why would she? She wasn't invited. But before Wanda got to be the catalyst to the street brawl that they had in front of Madani, Destiny waited until after Melody had already left and after her mama was leaving to yell out the door something about pimping out your daughter. And I'm glad that Melody called her out for that. It was uncalled for and it was unprofessional. And speaking of unprofessional, one good turn deserves another. As it pertains to the Black Business Expo, also known as the Expo, it was unprofessional and tacky. It was handled wrong to begin with. Marceau should not have waited to the moment of and the day of to ask for that money. But once again, Stormi's reaction and overreaction and dragging it out was also not called for. And let's talk about all of the different business woes and arrests and all of the legal action that's been taken against you that you cannot possibly blame Melody or the Melometers for. Let's go back to Destiny, talking about failed businesses. Madani is about the size of a shoebox, and you didn't have nothing but 3 bottles of pink oil, 2 jars of Blue Magic, and 1 pack of weave in there, and you still couldn't keep the store open. Was that Melody's fault? What about the employee that came out and said, hey, you still owe me some paychecks or whatever? Let me guess. She didn't really work for you. She was just a Melometer that was lying on you. You do know that we saw her on the show though, right? And then about Madani. People who were fans of yours and trying to support you since you were going through a divorce and all of that other stuff, they were saying that, hey, I kept trying to come by the store, but it was always open and closed at odd hours, and you weren't open during the business hours that you advertised. Let me guess, they weren't really coming to buy anything. They were just Melometers trying to make fun of you. How would they know when your business was and was not going to be open? It was just failing, and that was on you. I also find it peculiar that you were kind of making it seem like you owned that whole little strip mall or a large part of that building because you were taking bids to get the other suites built out so that you can rent those out to other people and get that additional stream of income, but you couldn't get a stream of income to Madani. So just like you couldn't keep your store, you also couldn't keep your house. They were saying that you were supposed to be out of that house months before you actually were. So basically, you were a glorified squatter. Maybe that was a lie that one of the Melometers started. I really hope that it was. Except for that arrest that you had. Now, let me guess. Your ex-husband is also a Melometer, and he was just lying on you when he brought those fraud charges against you for opening up the utility accounts in his name or whatever it is that you did. But how did they have the right to charge you if they didn't have any evidence? So let me guess. The judge was a Melometer as well. And it's all Melody's fault that you lost your business and your house when you borrowed money from her and from Sonny and from Moses, who also did you wrong. Nothing's ever your fault, Destiny. Birds of a feather flock together. You're just like Martell in that regard. Now, we already talked about Martell and a couple of his legal woes, but let's talk about his failed businesses. First, you were trying to get Destiny to put products in Madani, saying that you were some sort of brand ambassador for somebody else's brand, but you didn't have any paperwork, but it was coming, and that she shouldn't worry about it and she should just roll with it. Failed businessman. You don't have your paperwork in order. What about Inest wine? You have exactly one bottle of wine, one, and nothing else. And you sell that bottle of wine in varying units. How's that working out for you? Let me guess. Your struggling wine business is also Melody's fault. It must also be her fault that you didn't have that line of suits that was supposed to come out yet. Her fault again, right? It's not just the fact that you talk a good game, but you don't know how to follow through when it comes to business. You also said that the reason why you weren't getting any work was because Melody called around and demanded everybody to not work with you. Then we come to find out you don't have the builder's license. So let me guess, everybody in Huntsville must be a Melometer if they're in the real estate industry or construction industry. Because it can't just possibly be the fact that without being properly licensed, bonded, and insured, you're just a glorified day laborer. And there's no reason for anybody to hire you for anything. It's not just the fact that you don't have your paperwork and your business in order. It's the fact that you are a screaming lunatic on national television and drama followed you everywhere that you went and that you were a liability. But let me guess, all of that's false and it's just Melody and the Melometers' fault. But the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, and both of your trees are rotten. Just like you have your problems with the law, your daddy was a repeat offender jailbird that was in prison for more than half of your life, who promised that he was going to be a better father and grandfather after he got out. He showed up for maybe one or two things, and then you never heard from him again, not keeping promises and such. Does that sound familiar? Maybe Melody framed your daddy, and that's why he was always in jail. That's her fault too. What about the fact that you and your brother don't even seem to have the same father, and yet your brother was a repeat offender, jailbird as well. Even the woman who used to be your manager, Melanika, she also has some fraud charges or something like that in her history. Then you have the Scotts. Maurice. I guess the rumors about the sex parties or the after hour parties that used to go on at Credit One, which, mind you, all of this stuff predated the show. So how is it that it was Melometers who put that information out, even though these things happened before Melometers even existed? Somehow I'm sure that it was Melody's fault. She's behind all of it. And I guess Melody works part-time as a police officer, and she was the one that pulled you over for that DUI. And then let's look at your brother, Marceau. That multi-million-dollar lawsuit that you all have pending, is that a lawsuit from Melody? Or is the company that you were working with or working for on building those hotels or apartment complexes or whatever, maybe they're just Melometers and that's why they're suing you, but they don't really have any grounds to do so, I'm sure. But also, I must say that it's not hard to believe that you're the type of person who overpromises, underdelivers when you admitted multiple times on the show how double booked and overbooked you were and how you all couldn't afford to take on any more projects. And also, it is taking you just as long to build Scott Manor as it took one of Martell's ex-girlfriends to build Chateau Charest. Yet and still, we're blaming everything that happens with your businesses on Melody. I guess Melody also works for the IRS, and she sent one of the Melometers out to handle your cases and to charge you for use tax, even though use tax is an actual thing for any other business as well. Somehow, not. It's just the Melometers' fault. Just like when you all got casino night shut down at Black. That was also blamed on Melody and the Melometers. How was that, though? So none of your lawsuits and none of your business woes have anything to do with you all or your lack of business acumen. It's all Melody's fault. And I guess it was Melody that was the website designer for your daughter's hair care line, where she just went and copied information straight from Stormi's business. And you all didn't really want to take any responsibility for that. I said that I hired somebody and they must have done it. And I told them not to do it and to fix it. So I don't know what else you want me to say. And look how everything just came full circle. We're right back to Tisha and Stormi. Tisha sat on national television on that reunion and said that we're not the only person that you owe. You owe invoices all over town. And when Carlos had the opportunity to let you defend yourself or whatever the case may be, or to shut that down because he doesn't agree with people saying stuff and doing stuff that hurts people's business, right? What did he say? Who not paying invoices? What are you talking about, Tisha? Elaborate. He gave her the floor to continue to spray you. And then after she sprayed you for not taking care of your business bills, she then said, go back to popping those pills. Now she's accused you of being an addict. You don't think that that's attacking your business or that that can affect your business? And yet you have all of this smoke for Melody about something that Melody didn't do directly. Then you have for Tisha, who sat and called you out to your face. Tisha never took responsibility for that, nor did she provide any receipts. Carlos egged it on, and now he's talking about how he doesn't condone ruining people's business.